Okay, good morning. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the directors of the New York State Urban Development Corporation doing business as Empire State Development for this Thursday, October 19th, 2023. We have a lot of folks in the room. We'll go around the room and introduce ourselves. I'll remind staff on the phone to mute your phones until it's your turn to speak. Public was given an opportunity to attend, and I don't believe anybody from the public is here today. Not seeing any. Public was also given an opportunity to comment on the agenda items by submitting written comments by noon yesterday, and no comments were received on any of the items that we'll be discussing today. The directors, of course, have received all the written materials in advance of today's meeting, and of course are free to ask questions at any time during the presentations. Do any board members have any potential conflicts with any of the items today? All right, so we don't have to deal with any recusals. So before we get to the specific items on the agenda, let's go around the room to my left, starting first with Rob.
Rob Simpson from Syracuse, New York.
Benson Martin, designee, New York State Department of Financial Services.
Joe Taswell, New York City Regional Director, ESD.
Elisa Hockgeiser, Director of Compliance.
Ray Orlando, Chief Financial Officer.
Kathleen Mize, Deputy Chief Financial Officer and Controller.
Rich Gagliano, SVP Marketing, ESD.
Wayman Trunks, AVP of Small Business and Technology Development.
Sylvia Cloney, Assistant Vice President, New York Ventures.
Simone Bethune, Senior Project Manager, Loans and Grants.
Liz Luskin, Executive Vice President, Small Business and Technology Development.
Jason Clark, Division of Minority and Women Business Development.
Arden Sokolow, Executive Vice President, Real Estate.
Noah Raymond, Chief of Staff.
John Wong, Board of Director.
Great, and we have staff, other staff with us too. Thank you for attending. My name is Kevin Law, I'm the chair, and I will recognize we have a quorum of the board members. Unfortunately, Hope is under the weather and not feeling well, and it can't be with us today, and we wish her a speedy recovery. So we will get right to the agenda. Approval of the minutes from September 21st. They have been 2023. They have been circulated. I will move them. John seconds them. Does anybody have any comments, revisions, or additions? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. First item on the agenda, we have Martha Otero. She is our VP of Entrepreneur Development and Operations with an item for us.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, all. The Board of Directors are being requested to approve the adoption of the Small Business and Entrepreneur Grant Program Guidelines. The guidelines set forth the criteria for determining eligibility of grant award recipients by the Entrepreneurship Assistance Centers, or EACs, that will be selected for ESD grant funding to implement a business plan competition program. The program was funded for $400,000 on the fiscal year 2024 New York State annual budget to award grants to entrepreneurs and small business owners to cover startup costs of a new small business or to support or expand an existing small business in New York State. The funding allocation will be used to establish and support a pilot initiative over 2 years to make grant awards to successful business plan competition winners of up to $25,000, but not less than $5,000. ESD staff will release a request for applications to secure proposals and select 4 EACs to organize and manage the business plan competition programs. EACs that target micro businesses in regions that do not currently have a business plan competition program or are traditionally underserved will be prioritized. 4 EACs will be selected and granted up to $100,000 to support the implementation or ongoing operation of a business plan competition program, and will be allowed to use up to 20% for administrative costs to administer it. ESD staff will present to the Board of Directors for approval the selection of the 4 EACs that will be managing and operating the business plan competition programs at a later time. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Martha. Any board members have any questions? Hearing none, I will move it. Rob seconds it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, Martha. Our next corporate action item is Wei Min Chiwang, our Assistant VP of Capital Access.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman, and esteemed board members. I'd like to present the Patient Capital Loan Fund Program. The directors are requested to make findings and determinations pursuant to Section 10G of the Act to authorize the implementation and administration of Patient Capital Loan Fund, to provide authorization to make guarantees to fund the Patient Capital Loan Fund Program, and to take related actions necessary or appropriate to effectuate the foregoing. So I'd like to give a little background about the Patient Capital Loan Fund. It is established pursuant to Section 16I of the Act. The program will use $4.5 million of federally allocated SSBCI funds to create a pilot program that will leverage $10 million of private sector lending capital via 2 CDFI lenders, which is Pursuit and Ascendus. ESD will provide loan guarantees of up to 80% of approved loans, with a maximum of $4.5 million in total for the program. Each lender will be paid no more than $2.25 million in total guarantees. Of the $10 million of lending capital raised privately, $5 million will be used to provide startup term loans, and $5 million will be used to fund a patient lines of credit. Lenders would target socially and economic disadvantaged individual-owned businesses and very small businesses engaged generally in Main Street type of enterprises, principally in the retail, food service, accommodation industries, throughout the 10 regions of New York State. The startup loans will be for up to $100,000, and patient lines of credit will be up for $25,000. The program will aim to serve a total of 300 businesses. Access to capital is critical to steady and very small business startups, as they seek not only to sustain their operations, but to pursue opportunities through which they can experience an expansion and growth. While startups typically rely upon personal sources of funding in the initial stages of operation, many such firms, particularly steady and very small businesses, are unable to raise the capital that they need for brick-and-mortar type businesses. Further, few of these businesses are able to obtain traditional financing source of capital. Thus, the Patient Capital Loan Fund aims to bridge this gap with flexible and competitive products and terms. And with that, I'd like to answer any questions you may have about the program.
Yeah, Wei Min, thank you for that. What type of businesses will likely apply for these funds? And does the word patient in the title of the program indicate that this will be primarily in the healthcare field?
No, actually, the word patient means more understanding about the business needs and be patient with the returns in terms of interest rate being collected as well as the principal repayments. So, for example, for the term loan program, the lenders will provide loans up to 6 years, and the first years will be interest only, and they would determine after 1 year whether there will be a need to extend such offer of interest only at competitive rates. So the loans are going to be at probably 9.9% at this point, given the prime rate at 8.5. So that's pretty competitive for a startup business that may not get financing anywhere else. And understanding the nature of business, it helps the businesses that are working with these particular type of lenders to collaborate in understanding what's happening with the business and help them, like with the cash flow as well as preparation for future growth.
And what sector will these businesses be in? All sectors, or is it going to be in the technology field or
No.
life sciences? Or
Great questions. Actually, this program was initiated with the idea that a lot of the brick and mortar Main Street businesses aren't being helped because they are not high tech, they're not high fast growth, and they're not in the healthcare or in the biotech or technology sector. Mom and pop shops, regular Main Street like pizzerias, regular stores, coffee shop, or even service businesses that you will see regularly that are not the target of the high growth investors.
Got it. Very good.
Great.
Anybody else have any questions? Sounds like a great program.
Thank you.
I will move it. Benson seconds it. Any questions, comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay. We have a treat. We got our guy, Joe Taswell, here, our great New York City Regional Director, but he's also now in the spotlight as he provides us with an overview of what's happening with the New York City region. So, Joe, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman. Is the, oh, is it going, there we go, okay. So, well, I mean, first of all, let me say I have a very tough act to follow after Mike Yabali's excellent presentation on the Capital Region in July, but I do appreciate the opportunity to provide an overview of New York City and to share the Regional Council's progress. Let me first start with regional profile. Well, with a population of 8.8 million people, New York City is home to 40% of the state's population, and the population has grown nearly 8% since 2010. New York City has more than 250,000 businesses and is ranked #1 in the U.S. with the number of S&P 500 index companies headquartered here at 43. We're the world's top financial center and a key contributor to the state's #2 national ranking in general venture capital investment. We also have 594,000 university students at 110 private and public universities and colleges, contributing to the region's highly educated workforce and talent pipeline. We're also now home to 369,000 tech jobs, and this sector has grown faster than any other over the last 15 years. Moving to economic health, coming out of the pandemic, New York City's economy is showing signs of progress. The city's real gross city product was $886 billion in 2021, the last year reported, up from $879 billion in 2019. The unemployment rate is currently 5.3%, and the city has regained more than 99.9% of pre-pandemic private sector employment. That's just 800 jobs away from a full recovery. 152,000 jobs have been added over the last year, primarily in private education and health services, and leisure and hospitality. Since June, the city's labor force participation has maintained an all-time high, reaching 62.7% as more New Yorkers are joining or rejoining the labor force. Subway ridership is nearly 70% of pre-pandemic levels, and the city expects to welcome about 63 million tourists in 2023, which is nearly 95% of pre-pandemic levels. All good news.
I'm impressed with every stat you shared so far.
In addition, the governor has made a number of important infrastructure announcements over the last 2 years that will contribute to the city's long-term economic health, including the opening of Terminals B and C at LaGuardia Airport, the start of construction on JFK's Terminal 6, the Federal Highway Administration's completion of the environmental review of congestion pricing, a key step in the implementation of that program, and the Biden-Harris administration recently announced that it was advancing the Gateway Hudson River Tunnel project, officially beginning the engineering phase of that $17 billion project. At the same time, the city has emerged from the pandemic facing a vastly changed economic and social landscape. Hybrid work seems to be here to stay. The city's office occupancy averages just below 50% of pre-pandemic levels. This is impacting the commercial office vacancy rate, which is nearly 18% in Manhattan, and may eventually impact commercial office building values. In addition, competition is rising both domestically and globally to New York City's dominance as a financial center. The city is also facing an affordability crisis and housing shortfall. In response to these trends coming out of the pandemic, in May of last year, the governor and mayor convened a blue ribbon panel of experts, which included select regional council members from New York City, Long Island, and the Mid-Hudson regional councils, to focus on reviving New York City's business districts, especially those that have been slower to recover in the wake of the pandemic, like Midtown and Lower Manhattan, as well as focusing on a wide range of interconnected challenges from transportation and housing to childcare and economic mobility. Last December, the governor and mayor released the new New York Action Plan, which includes 40 recommendations around reimagining commercial districts as vibrant 24/7 destinations, making it easier for New Yorkers to get to work, and generating inclusive, future-focused growth. The REDC in New York City will like the other councils, be updating their strategic plan, so I expect the New York City REDC will be looking at these recommendations more closely. That provides a segue into the New York City REDC. The New York City Regional Council has focused its regional strategies and priorities on accelerating economic growth and job creation by building on the city's strengths, while at the same time ensuring that economically distressed communities and populations have opportunities to participate in the benefits of that growth. The REDC also seeks to reinforce the prominent industries and large institutions that anchor the city's economy, and foster collaboration with other regions across the state to build new industry clusters in the innovation economy. The REDC has a 5-barrel strategy based on 5 key pillars: improving quality of life, creating a pro-growth, pro-jobs environment, investing in the future, fostering innovation and interregional cooperation, and implementing an opportunity agenda, which this strategy focuses on the need for workforce development to close the skills gap and create opportunities for upward mobility. Moving on to projects, over 12 rounds, the New York City Regional Council has been awarded over $535 million in grants and tax credits to assist 980 projects that will leverage more than $7.8 billion in total investment, creating and retaining over 51,000 permanent jobs. And I'd like to highlight the New York City's strategy of investing in distressed communities. Almost a third of these projects are located in federal opportunity zone census tracts. I'd like to close by highlighting 2 recent projects that address 2 of the governor's priorities: promoting affordable housing and combating climate change. In the first, Greenpoint Manufacturing and Design Center, a nonprofit industrial developer, is partnering with the Bridge and Mega Development to redevelop at a cost of $118 million a former industrial complex in the Brownsville area of Brooklyn. The development will include affordable and supportive housing with 174 units, as well as a multi-tenanted center for small-scale manufacturers, artisanal trades, custom wood and metal workers, and garment workers. This facility will help leverage the larger development and will provide new jobs for residents. ESD is providing a $1.6 million grant for the $11.8 million manufacturing facility. And in the next project, last April, after a 2-year competitive RFP process, it was announced that New York Climate Exchange, a cross-sector consortium led by Stony Brook, had been chosen to create a state-of-the-art climate research, education, and jobs hub on Governor's Island. At full build, this Center for Climate Solutions will create 7,000 permanent jobs and nearly $1 billion in economic impact for New York City. As a complement to this effort, the Trust for Governor's Island is partnering with a development team to create an accelerator hub to be called Buttermilk Labs to support the growth of startup businesses, nonprofit organizations, and entrepreneurs involved in sustainability, renewable energy, and mitigating the risk of climate change. ESD is providing a $2.5 million grant to Buttermilk Labs for a $20 million adaptive reuse of a historic waterfront building that once served as the former school for children and soldiers and later Coast Guardsmen. This building will house offices, co-working space, labs, convening space, and a public cafe The project will create 150 new jobs. This is a great example of interregional cooperation involving multiple regions. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge my team in the New York City Regional Office. Andrew Fletcher, who's Senior Deputy Director, Alexander Rodriguez, who's Senior Project Manager, Reeves Hart, Project Manager, and Ingrid Nathan, Executive Assistant. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Great job, Joe. And it seems like all the other regions, you do all this work with a very small team. And so very impressive. I have a couple of questions to start. So many of you know I also chair Stony Brook University, have for the last 14 years, and the council there. And we were so excited to win the New York State Climate Exchange Award at Governor's Island. In fact, I was at the Governor's Island Foundation Gala Tuesday night here in the city. I'm just curious, other than the REDC grant, will ESD have any other role with what's happening there? Because I know we are, at Stony Brook, we're putting together the planning foundation. There's going to be several different components of it. And so I'm just wondering, is somebody here from ESD working with somebody at Stony Brook, or if you need any introductions there, I could help you with that.
I would love to have an introduction to someone at Stony Brook. That would be great. I mean, we've been working closely with the Trust for Governor's Island on this project, but then we're also supporting other renovation of existing buildings there. So yes, please.
Good. So offline, I could introduce
absolutely
you to the main
please.
point
Thank
people
you.
there because we're excited about it. Second question. As ESD seems to be getting more involved in housing, and as Governor Hochul continues to make the creation of more housing units, one of her top priorities throughout the state, is the REDC also trying to figure out what role that we can play, since we historically deferred to HCR on these issues?
Absolutely. I mean, in New York City, there seems to be a model that's been developed to have a cultural organization or cultural entity be a part of these real estate development projects. So we're actually involved with about 5 of these. One is actually got an event today in the Bronx, the Bronx Point, which we're supporting the Universal Hip Hop Museum. But others include National Black Theater, which is partnering with L&M Development. We're doing that one that I talked about in Brownsville, and then another one in Brownsville, which involves the Brownsville Arts Center. So that's the model that I'm seeing, right, where these mixed-use developments have either a cultural institution or manufacturing facility or something like that, and we're able to assist these entities to leverage the larger project.
Oh, great. Last question for you. When I was co-chairing the Long Island REDC, it seems easier. We had only 2 counties, and so we were always sensitive, trying to make sure we were, supporting projects in both counties. In the New York City REDC with the 5 boroughs, do you try to be sensitive to that too, and try to make sure that there are projects being approved in all 5 boroughs?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we make a point of doing outreach, going to the boroughs and engaging, and the borough president's offices who represent the boroughs, have been very involved in, for example, the Downtown Revitalization Initiative, the New York Forward. But we engage them very much, and yes, and there is sensitivity toward making sure that it doesn't all go to one borough.
Got it.
But the outer boroughs have always been key to the strategy of the regional council, and focusing less on, at least at that time, on the business core of Manhattan, and more on the outer boroughs and upper Manhattan.
Right. Great to hear. Anybody else have any questions for Joe? All right. So, yeah, well done. and we appreciate it, Joe. And we'll see you back on the agenda
Yes.
in a few minutes. Okay, so now, it's a good segue. We will continue with the agenda, and we're going to start in Western New York. And we have Paul Tronalone, our VP for Planning and Policy, with a project. Paul's on the phone?
Yes, I am. Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, directors. This morning, you're asked to approve an amended general project plan and provide an additional grant of $450,000 from the Regional Council Capital Fund to People United for Sustainable Housing Buffalo, or PUSH Buffalo, for design, construction, and equipping a new 2,500 square foot net zero workforce training center on Buffalo's west side. Push Buffalo is a not-for-profit community organization that works on housing, job training, and other services to advance economic and environmental justice in Buffalo. Now, back in 2019, the directors approved a $1.2 million grant to push toward a then estimated $1.6 million facility covering both capital costs and startup operations. However, the project stalled during COVID and encountered significant cost increases, now totaling over $2.5 million. In 2022, PUSH applied under the consolidated funding application process together with private foundation funds secured by PUSH would now allow the project to be fully completed. It would create 2 full-time positions at the training center and expand PUSH's training capacity to 20 persons per year, improving access for BIPOC communities to careers in clean energy and sustainable construction. And with that, I'll answer any questions you have.
Got it. Thanks, Paul. Any board members have questions? Hearing none, I will move it. John seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. And the motion carries. Paul, is that your only item, or did we have 2 items for Buffalo? Or did one get pulled?
No, that's all I have.
Yeah, got it. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Take care.
Moving over to the Finger Lakes, we have Bridget O'Brien, our Deputy Director, REDC for the Finger Lakes region. She has 2 separate items for us that will require 2 separate votes.
Morning. Thank you, Chairman and Directors. Today we are asking the Directors to approve a $7 million capital and working capital grant to Tom James Company from the Upstate Revitalization Initiative, Round 1. The grant supports Tom James Company's acquisition of Hickey Freeman Tailored Clothing, Inc. and its flagship manufacturing factory in Rochester, New York at 1155 North Clinton Avenue. The project will provide for Tom James Company's acquisition of Hickey Freeman and its assets, renovation of the Rochester manufacturing facility, and purchase of machinery, equipment, and other working capital investments to establish and grow Tom James Company's manufacturing operations. Founded in 1966, the Tom James Company is a made-to-measure clothing manufacturer headquartered in Tennessee with factories in 8 other states. The company employs about 3,000 workers globally with retail locations in the U.S., Canada, Australia, and Europe. The company is 100% employee-owned and is one of the largest custom clothing manufacturers in the world. Tom James Company's acquisition of Hickey Freeman establishes its first facility here in New York and its 10th nationwide, while also sustaining a 111-year clothing manufacturing presence on North Clinton Avenue in Rochester's northeast quadrant, retaining 170 jobs and creating 75 new ones in one of Rochester's most economically disadvantaged neighborhoods. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you, Bridget. 170 jobs will be retained, and how many new jobs created?
75 new jobs.
Great. Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Bridget? Hearing none, I will move it. Rob seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Bridget, your second item?
Thank you very much. Next one is we are asking the directors to approve a $3,600,000 capital grant to the City of Rochester from Round 1 of the Upstate Revitalization Initiative. A partial grant amount of $1,400,000 was approved for this project by the directors in March of 2021 for design, engineering, and soft costs. The City of Rochester has amended the proposed project to expand the north face of the Rochester Riverside Convention Center rather than the south side, which overlooks the river, as the cost for the original project has significantly increased since they received their grant award in 2020. The amended grant supports a portion of the cost for construction, renovation, upgrades to Rochester Riverside Convention Center to expand the north face of the building to better engage Main Street and to widen the existing south terrace to improve public access to the river and prepare the terrace for future trail extensions to the Broad Street Aqueduct, which is the cornerstone of the Rock the Riverway initiative. We will also rehabilitate the existing river wall and exterior building envelope. The City of Rochester will contribute 50% of its own equity into this project with an estimated total project cost of $10 million. The total award for this grant is $5 million. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Bridget, the total award of $5 million, so is that the 3.6 plus the original 1.4?
That's correct.
Got it. All right. Anybody have any questions? Hearing none, I will move it. Benson seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, Bridget.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's move over to the North Country. We have Erin Hines, Deputy Director, REDC for the North Country region.
Thank you, Chairman Long. Good morning. We're seeking board authorization to disperse up to $900,000 to Adirondack Historical Association to support a $5,032,051 project to repurpose 58,000 square feet to create a new art gallery exhibit in the Adirondack Experience Museum and establish the only permanent art exhibit in the Adirondacks. The exhibit will focus on the natural features of the Adirondacks that have inspired various artists. Before the establishment of this exhibit, the art was kept in storage and only displayed on occasion. This project is in Blue Mountain Lake in Hamilton County. The $900,000 grant was offered from the Regional Council Capital Fund Round 11 to renovate the new exhibit space in June 2022. This project has been completed as of June 2023. Because the grant has satisfied the disbursement requirements per the incentive proposal, ESD is recommending that the board authorize the release of funds for the project. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Right. Anybody have any questions for Erin? Hearing none, I will move it. John seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, Erin. Okay, we'll move down to the Mohawk Valley. We have Allison Madmoon, our Regional Director for the Mohawk Valley region.
Good morning, Chairman, and good morning, Directors. The Directors are being asked to approve an Upstate Revitalization Initiative URI capital grant of $3 million to be used as a portion of demolition, renovation, and construction at Cooperstown Historic Doubleday Field. In 2018, the Village of Cooperstown was awarded $3 million URI grant to support rehabilitation efforts and upgrades to Doubleday Field. Improvements to Doubleday Field include creation of an ADA-compliant pedestrian-safe island featuring the Sandlot Kid statue, renovation of 1939 grandstand, extensive bleacher and press box repairs, and construction of a third base building with ADA-compliant bathrooms, locker rooms, and office space. Prior to these renovations, youth baseball teams had nowhere to change for tournaments. These upgrades will allow the village to maximize use of this landmark facility, drawing baseball players and their families nationally to Cooperstown to play ball. The total budget for this project was $6.8 million for construction, demolition, and renovation, and ESD's participation in the project will be 44% of the project cost, or $3 million. The project is consistent with the MVREDC's strategy to enhance tourism destinations and revitalize downtowns and main streets in the Mohawk Valley. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Allison. Love Cooperstown. So any board members have any questions? I will move it. Rob seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you.
So move over to the Capital Region, and we got Mike Yevely. So I heard Joe say that your last name the correct way. So during your presentation, I was calling you Yevoli because we used to have a town supervisor with the same spelling of your name out in Oyster Bay, and former assemblyman too, and his name was Lou Yevoli, spelled the same way. So that's why I called you Yevoli. But if the correct way is Yevoli, I apologize for last month.
It is not. I think, and I've just, Senator Schumer and I got to know each other because we had this debate because he knew a Yevoli, of course, in the assembly, and they were saying my name is Yevoli, so we on occasion we'll still remember that discussion. But I think it's something happened when people moved upstate and they changed it from Yevoli to Yevoli. That's all I can say, Chair. But I answered to both.
Very good.
But thank you. And thank you, Joe, for the kind words and great presentation on your part as well. So today, I'm requesting the directors approve a $1.75 million, $1,750,000 Round 11 Regional Council Capital Grant to the Stack Family Center for Biopharmaceutical Education and Training for a portion of the cost associated with the renovation and fit-out of a newly acquired 154,000 square foot state-of-the-art medical and life sciences facility. The project was a Capital Region REDC priority project with a total project cost of $8.8 million. The project involves building renovations and installation of customized lab equipment to fit up multiple mammalian gene and cell labs. The facility will attract future generations of students and open the door to careers in biopharmaceutical and biomanufacturing industries by providing hands-on training on the highest quality pharmaceutical research and manufacturing equipment available. The project will also allow the College of Pharmacy to promote the commercialization of life science R&D by attracting and incubating small and growing life science companies that will in turn provide students with internships and networking opportunities. This is the first center of its kind in the United States to be created by a pharmacy and health science college, designed to be a hub where academics, researchers, and growing businesses explore solutions to some of society's most pressing life sciences issues. It will also provide opportunities for the next generation of leaders to conduct innovative research and training while gaining hands-on biomanufacturing experience in the biomed and biopharma industries. The project is located at the former Center for Medical Science in the city of Albany, which was mostly vacant following the 2011 bankruptcy of its major tenant and property manager, Ordway Research Company. The building includes more than 60,000 square feet of high-quality biosafety research labs and other notable tenants such as Health Research Inc., New York State Department of Health, National Toxicology, Albany Leadership for Charter School for Girls, and Albany Labs. The project is consistent with the Capital Region's REDC strategy to support regionally significant industries in emerging fields with growing demand for jobs, including those in life sciences and advanced technologies. Happy to answer any questions.
Great. Michael, and will the companies trying to access or utilize the incubator space, will they be required to be in the life sciences field?
Will they be? I don't know if they'll be required. I believe the focus will be that.
Got it. No,
I don't know if I heard your question correctly. So are you saying, or are they required to be in the space of life sciences if they're going to be using the labs?
I mean, you said it's the first lab where it's going to focus primarily on the pharmaceutical industries, which I think is exciting. But will there be enough companies to fill up that space, and will there be other sectors represented in this incubator lab space?
Yeah. So the building in and of itself is much larger than the CBAT that we're talking about here. So there is opportunities for other companies in there. There's that the CBET is not all the 60,000 square feet of labs as well. The building in of itself is much larger than this project.
Good.
So there's some very high sensitive BS4 labs there that could be used for other research. They were used for defense and other research activities in the past.
Got it. And the renovation is complete, and the building's about to be up and running.
Yep.
Great. Any other questions? Hearing none, I will move it. Rob seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, Mike Yevoli.
Thank you. Sure.
All right, let's move down to the southern tier. Omar Sanders, our regional director for the Southern Tier region, I believe, is on the phone.
Yes, good morning, Chairman. Thank you, and good morning, directors. The directors are being asked to approve the release of funds for the demolition and remediation phases of Binghamton University Health Science Campus project located in Johnson City, New York. This portion of the project consists of the demolition and remediation of 9 properties strategically located in the Binghamton University Pharmacy School to create shovel-ready site for future partnerships that complement the research and development activity and healthcare talent from Binghamton University. The Health Science Campus will bring together Binghamton University School of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences and the Decker College of Nursing and Health Science, as well as SUNY Broome Community College with Wilson Memorial and Guthrie Hospitals and their clinicians, life scientists, engineers, healthcare providers, and educators to deliver a regional approach to educating the future healthcare workforce. The Health Science Campus will also enable the translation of research and opportunities for pharmaceutical product development and other healthcare applications. The grantee BFSS LLC is a single-member limited liability company whose sole member and manager is the Binghamton University Foundation. BFSS LLC was formed in 2014 to support the Binghamton University Foundation's mission to further the educational foundation and Binghamton University, facilitating the implementation of projects and events authorized and approved by the university. In 2017, BFSS LLC acquired strategic sites for demolition and remediation to extend the footprint around Binghamton University Pharmacy School in Johnson. A multiplier effect of investment.
Omar, you're going in and out.
In 1 minute.
Omar, you there? Call our meeting back to order. We hope and think our technical difficulties have been corrected. And so we were in the middle of Omar Sanders' presentation. And Omar, where we sort of lost you was when you talked about all the different folks who are going to be part of this project with the local hospitals and the local community colleges. And so if you want to start off there, I think we had you up until that point.
Okay, great. I'll begin there. The Health Science Campus will bring together Binghamton School of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences and Decker College of Nursing and Healthcare Sciences, as well as SUNY Broome Community College, Wilson Memorial, and Guthrie Hospitals, and their clinicians, life scientists, engineers, healthcare providers, and educators to deliver a regional approach to educating the future healthcare workforce. The Health Science Campus will also enable the translation of research into opportunities for pharmaceutical product development and other healthcare applications. The grantee BFSS LLC is a single-member limited liability company whose sole member and manager is the Binghamton University Foundation. BFSS LLC was formed in 2014 to support the Binghamton University Foundation's mission to further the educational purposes of the foundation and Binghamton University by facilitating the implementation of projects and events authorized and approved by the university. In 2017, BFSS LLC acquired strategic sites for demolition and remediation to extend the footprint around Binghamton University Pharmacy School in Johnson City, New York, and connect that campus with the Main Street Corridor reconstruction plan, creating a multiplier effect of investment in the area. In March 2018, the grantee received an award totaling $1,500,000 through Round 7 of the Southern Tier Regional Economic Development Consolidated Funding Application process to assist with project financing and the demolition and remediation of those properties. The university will be investing $8,500,000 in equity into this project with a total project cost of $10 million. The Health Science Campus is a critical component of the Greater Binghamton innovation ecosystem that aims to leverage the region's strengths in research, product innovation, and entrepreneurship to attract and retain talent and create opportunities for new business development. The project was completed in March of this year. The regional office is now recommending that the board authorize the release of funds for this project. And I'm happy to take any questions at this time. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Omar. Any board members have any questions? All right, hearing none, I will move it. John seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thanks for sticking with us, Omar. You got it done.
Thank you.
All right, so now we'll move to the Mid-Hudson region. We have Eric Warren, our Senior Project Manager.
Thank you and good morning, members of the board and chairman. I am presenting today a $600,000 Regional Council capital grant from Round 9 for Seek, Inc. Clearbrook Expansion Project in the village of Elmsford, Westchester County. Seek began as a spin-out from Hypers, the world's leader in commercial superconductive electronic solutions. Seek's technology and fabrication capabilities are proven and patented. The company is one of the first companies to have built a superconductor multi-layer commercial chip foundry, and through the experience has the infrastructure in place for design, testing, and manufacturing of quantum-ready superconductors. Seek's team of executives and scientists have deep experience in commercial superconductive computing solutions and quantum computing. Seek is based in Elmsford, New York, with facilities also in London and also Naples, Italy. Seek has invested over $5 million to upgrade its manufacturing, design, and testing capabilities with a major facility expansion and modernize the chip foundry, as well as build a new low-temperature test and product development center. This entails purchasing and installing new capital equipment for the existing manufacturing plant, acquiring new test and measurement equipment for testing laboratories, and acquiring design workstations and tools for a new superconductor integrated circuit design lab. Seek's state-of-the-art facility will address the present deficiency in manufacturing, quantum circuit design, deep cryogenic testing of the quantum devices and circuits. This project will result in the creation of 29 new full-time permanent employees and 9 existing full-time permanent employees at the project locations. The project aligns with the Mid-Hudson Regional Council work strategy that seeks to attract and retain investment in the region's mature and emerging clusters within the tradable sectors of advanced manufacturing and information technology. The project was completed in 2022, and a ribbon-cutting ceremony was held with Lieutenant Delgado on October 26, 2022. To date, the company has already created 12 new jobs and retained the 9 existing jobs. Thank you. Have any questions for me?
Thank you, Eric. Any questions for Eric? There are none. I will move it. Rob seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Let's go back to Joe Taswell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The directors are requested to approve a regional council capital grant of $500,000 and a Market New York grant of $1 million to the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation in connection with the restoration work to the New York State Pavilion's observation towers and the Tower of Tent structures in Flushing Meadows, Corona Park, and Queens. The project was designated as a New York City Regional Council priority project in Round 5 in support of state and regional strategies to support tourism and improve quality of life. New York City Parks will use this funding to support a portion of the approximately $22 million cost of infrastructure and site restoration work related to the New York State Pavilion, which was designed for the 1964 World's Fair. The structures, a skyline-defining feature of the Queensboro, have deteriorated and fallen into disrepair, requiring critical repairs and restoration after years of neglect. The scope of the work at the pavilion included, among other things, the replacement of suspension cables that hold deck girders, repairs to spalling concrete at the observation towers, and a full electrical upgrade. New York City Parks, in partnership with the Office of the Queensboro President, seeks to repurpose both the former pavilion theme and the structure to create a vibrant new destination for New Yorkers and tourists that will provide new community space and a center for public programs, performances, and events that celebrate the diversity of Queens and the region. In addition, architectural lights on the tower and tent will be illuminated nightly and programmed to reflect holidays and special events. The project was completed in June of this year, and the disbursement milestones have been met. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Joe? All right, hearing none, I will move it. Benson seconds it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. The motion carries. And I should have said, now for the last several items, we have not received any comments from the public on any of the items we voted on so far. Okay, let's move over to the Market New York Grant Program. We have Benjamin Piccolo Evans to walk us through a project.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning. Today I am requesting the directors approve a $420,860 Round 8 Market New York Capital Grant for South Front Street Holdings, LLC, now known as the Red Barn, for a portion of the cost associated with the construction and renovation of an historic coal bunkering facility, creating a new tourism destination in the vicinity of the Hudson, New York Amtrak station. South Front will make an equity contribution of $350,000 to this approximately $3.1 million project. The project involves the construction and renovation of two buildings owned by South Front Street Holdings, totaling 10,000 square feet. The project's goal was to transform long underused buildings in a prime location directly across from the Amtrak station into a dynamic year-round creative hub, restaurant, and marketplace. Part of this renovation includes the addition of a solar panel roof that will drastically reduce the project's carbon footprint. The development includes Kitty's Market, which opened in 2020, and Kitty's Restaurant, which opened in 2022, both of which have developed a devoted following among local residents and visitors. Featuring local produce and farm fresh food, both businesses welcome customers year-round, and each has thrived since they opened, regularly receiving positive reviews, as most recently noted in 14 restaurants in upstate New York worth the drive in Bloomberg News. The company has purchased, renovated, and equipped two buildings totaling 10,000 square feet. Currently operational, the new facility will support new customer demand for market and event space and continued demand for the restaurant industry in the region. I am happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Benjamin. Any questions? All right, hearing none, I will move it. John seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. No comments from the public, and this motion is approved. Okay, we are up to the Restore New York Communities Capital Grant Program, and we have Simone Bethune, our Senior Project Manager and Coordinator of Projects for Loans and Grants, to walk us through 5 different grants.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the first 2 awards, the directors are being asked to approve 2 grants totaling $5 million, which include a grant of $1 million from the Restore New York Round 6 and a grant of $4 million from Round 7 to the City of Buffalo in Western New York. The Commodore Perry Homes were a 1930s-era former housing development of 330 units owned and operated by the Buffalo Municipal Housing Authority. The city will apply ESD funds to the demolition of 24 vacant, uninhabitable buildings on 2 properties, 448 South Park Avenue and 339 Perry Street. Once the demolition is complete, the Buffalo Municipal Housing Authority will partner with Penrose, a premier multifamily mixed-use and mixed-income development company, to construct 405 new energy-efficient affordable housing units that will meet New York State Division of Housing and Community Renewal design guidelines and commercial space, significantly increasing Buffalo's housing stock for a walkable community located near amenities and transit. The new units will also limit rent to no more than 30% of income for tenants. ESD funds will leverage an approximately $6 million project, with the city ensuring contribution of $1,099,694 in equity. The project is estimated for completion in December 2024, with the larger development project estimated for completion in February 2027. The third award is a Round 7 $1,062,000 grant to the Village of Port Layton in the North Country to renovate an approximately 37,000 square foot building. Partnering with Port Layton Portal LLC, the village will oversee renovations of 15,000 square feet of a vacant school building for development of up to 10 apartment units on the second floor and creation of first floor commercial space, a community center, and a restaurant. Work is expected to be completed in December 2024, with the village ensuring contribution of $118,000 on the $1,180,000 project. The fourth item is a $10 million Restore Round 7 grant to Ulster County in the Mid-Hudson region for hazardous material removal and infrastructure improvements to 2 vacant buildings located on the former IBM campus. When IBM departed the Kingston area in the mid-1990s, thousands of employees and their families were forced to relocate, retire, or rebuild their careers. The ripple effects of this economic disruption have been felt throughout the region and have echoed over a generation. In 2021, Ulster County began managing the former IBM campus and entered into partnership with National Resources to undertake an ambitious renaissance for the property. This project is a component of the developer iPark 87's broader redevelopment plans for the 250-acre former IBM manufacturing site. iPark 87 will ultimately invest $200 million in the coming years to make the campus a commercial and residential area that offers space for advanced manufacturing tenants, along with 880 units of residential housing. The ESD-funded project involving the removal of hazardous materials and infrastructure improvements will see an equity contribution made by the developer of approximately $37 million and is expected to be complete in April 2025. And the final item for director's consideration is a $900,000 Round 7 grant to the village of Lowville in the North Country region. Lowville applied in January 2023 for funding assistance to renovate a 7,262 square foot vacant building. The completed building will host the Tug Hill Artisan Roasters coffee storefront and local goods incubator, with an outdoor patio, wraparound porch, and 2 studio apartments. This project is in keeping with Lowville's 2022 Joint Comprehensive Plan, which outlines the municipality's goal to encourage the development of vacant sites as opposed to constructing new developments. Construction is estimated to be complete in September 2024, and the village will ensure a contribution of $205,129 on the approximately $1.3 million project. And I can take any questions.
Okay. Thank you, Simone. Does anybody have any questions for any of these grants that Simone just walked us through? Hearing none, we have no comments from the public. I will move it. Rob seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. And the motion for those 5 Restore New York Community Grants are approved. Simone, you now have some at the direction of projects for us, and there's, again, a bunch of them, about 12, and we're going to be able to do this in one vote. You want to walk us through these?
Yes. So just as a reminder, at the direction of grants refer to those commitments listed in the New York State budget that enhance the state's communities through cultural, educational, research, and development, and civic organizations. These projects originate from the governor or the New York State Assembly or Senate, and ESD is named to administer the funding. ESD does not select the recipients of funding. The directors will be asked to approve the following 13 awards totaling $4,456,900 to be made to historic performing arts centers located throughout upstate New York in response to the economic downturn they experienced during the COVID-19 pandemic. During the pandemic, performing arts venues were forced to cease operations, eliminating all ticket revenue and reducing fundraising efforts, leaving them in dire financial straits for close to 18 months. In May 2020, these 13 downtown historic performing arts centers from Jamestown to Poughkeepsie came together to form Alive Downtowns, a coalition which formed at the beginning of the pandemic to raise awareness with the New York State Legislature, to consider targeted COVID pandemic assistance to their industry, and to think of them in the same way as other organizations that have great public benefit to the citizens of New York State. Each of these 13 venues has a 100-year history of foundational impact on their respective downtowns. Combined, they serve over 5 million people annually, including thousands of students, with aggregate budgets exceeding $100 million and economic impacts for the New York State major downtowns conservatively exceeding $350 million. In May 2023, a $4 million Alive Downtowns appropriation was provided by the New York State Assembly, and a $1 million appropriation was provided by the New York State Senate for a total of $5 million in funding assistance to reimburse general operating expenses to theaters across upstate New York. The remaining balance of the total $5,543,100 will be presented for CEO approval. Thank you.
Simone, so you're asking us to approve, these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
13.
Yeah, so 13 different grants for the upstate theaters. They're all at the direction of the legislature and the governor. Does anybody have any questions for these items? All right. Hearing no comments from the public on any of these items, I will move it. John seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, Simone.
Thank you.
All right, we got 2 items under New York Ventures, and we have Sylvia Cordoni, our Senior Director from New York Ventures, with us.
Thank you. So we are asking the directors for approval of an investment of $400,000 in BE Therapeutics, their seed round of funding. BE Therapeutics is a biotech company developing the first functional brain graft for the repair of damaged brain through tissue replacement. The initial indication of BE's technology is the treatment after stroke. BE Therapeutics is a newly formed company based on decades of research from its scientific founder, Dr. Jan Hebert, at the Einstein College of Medicine. And the company would also be headquarters in the Bronx. The proceeds from this financing round will be used to assemble the first human prototype. As a part of the due diligence process, New York State Innovation Venture Capital Fund staff and the External Investor Advisory Committee have evaluated the company, the business plans, and the growth prospects, and as well as the terms of the investment. As a result of that analysis, both the staff and the IAC are agreeing that this is a good market opportunity and growth potential and are recommending the approval of this investment.
And you said it's a $400,000 investment?
Yes.
And how much total is the company seeking in this round?
It's more, we've done put more than 10% in this case.
All right, so if they're seeking $4 million, our investment will be capped at $400,000.
Yes.
Got it. All right, sounds neat. Anybody have any questions? No comments from the public. I will move it. Rob seconds it. All in favor, aye. Any opposed, none. The motion carries. The second item, Sylvia?
The second company is Osteologic Therapeutics. We are requesting approval from the directors to make an investment of up to $1 million on Osteologic Therapeutics. New York Ventures has previously invested $200,000 in the company through our pre-seed and seed matching fund from the SSBCI money. Osteologic Therapeutics is a biotech company in New York, pioneering a new class of drugs that deliver biologics to the bone, thereby addressing high unmet medical needs, starting with the treatment of cancer bone metastasis. Osteologic drugs are based on a platform technology that leverage inventions from prominent academic institutions, both Baylor, Rice, and Columbia. This investment will be used for working capital and to advance the company's lead program that is in cancer bone metastasis. Same way as the previous investment, it has been through our due diligence process with both the investment advisory committee and the staff, and we both are recommending the investment.
Great. And like the other company, BE Therapeutics is Osteologic. Are they based here in Manhattan?
Yeah, Osteologic is in Manhattan.
Got it. Thank you. Anybody have questions? No comments from the public. I will move it. Rob seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, Sylvia. All right, now we have a little project in Brooklyn to act on. And do we have Douglas McPherson here? Hey, Douglas, how are you?
Good.
Good. And why don't you tell us about this tiny little project you got going on in Brooklyn?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. My name is Doug McPherson, and on behalf of Real Estate, I'll be presenting the General Project Plan, or GPP, and the Draft Environmental Impact Statement, or DEIS, for the proposed Kingsborough Psychiatric Center mixed-use project, which for the purposes of this presentation, I'll refer simply to as Kingsborough. Today, we are asking the directors to accept the Draft Environmental Impact Statement, adopt land use improvement and residential project findings, adopt the General Project Plan, authorize a public hearing on the DEIS and the GPP, and authorize ESD staff to take related actions. Your materials contain the full details of the proposed project, but I'll provide some highlights, starting with a brief background. ESD is sponsoring the proposed project in collaboration with New York State Homes and Community Renewal, or HCR, as part of the state's Vital Brooklyn initiative. Vital Brooklyn is a comprehensive community development effort that was created to address chronic social, economic, and health disparities in central Brooklyn. ESD and HCR's primary role as part of the Vital Brooklyn effort is to expand affordable housing opportunities and open the door for more current and future central Brooklyn residents to avoid the excessive shelter costs and housing instability that can make it difficult to prioritize maintaining a healthy lifestyle. In addition, the proposed project advances other pillars of the Vital Brooklyn initiative, including, but not limited to, introducing new open space, creating new youth development programming, expanding access to healthy food, and creating jobs. I'll expand on each of these elements later in the presentation. The proposed project envisions the comprehensive redevelopment of a 7.2-acre project site located on the westernmost portion of the Kingsborough Psychiatric Center campus in Brooklyn's East Flatbush neighborhood. The campus is owned by the Dormitory Authority of New York, or DASNY, and operated by the New York State Office of Mental Health, or OMH. The portion of the campus to the east of the project site includes numerous institutional buildings and facilities that are actively used and maintained by OMH to provide psychiatric care to people with serious mental illness. But the project site itself is comprised of 5 substandard and underutilized buildings that no longer serve the essential needs of OMH. 2 buildings currently used as single adult men's homeless shelters that are under the jurisdiction of the New York City Department of Homeless Services, and 3 others that are substantially vacant. To address the substandard and unutilized conditions on the project site and redevelop it in accordance with the goals and objectives of the Vital Brooklyn initiative, ESD would acquire the project site from DASNY and reconvey it to a private developer to facilitate its redevelopment into a mixed-use complex with approximately 1,000 units of affordable and supportive residential housing, 2 new homeless shelters to replace the 2 outmoded ones on the project site, about 8,000 square feet of commercial space, including a grocery store, various community facilities, and publicly accessible open space, which will serve residents on the project site and the surrounding community. The project provides a unique opportunity to make the surplus state-owned property available for other uses that will better serve the needs of the community, while avoiding the carrying costs and potential liabilities to the state associated with holding title to depreciating and obsolete facilities. Specifically, the project would provide up to approximately 1,033,039 square feet of residential space, including up to 1,090 new units of affordable housing, of which approximately 9% would be homeownership units. 2 new state-of-the-art single-adult men's homeless shelters, which would fully replace the existing 364 beds currently available at the project site. Approximately 8,092 square feet of commercial space, which is anticipated to be utilized as a grocery store, approximately 63,071 square feet of community facility space, including an 1199 SEIU workforce development and childcare facility, an emergency food provider, a ballet studio, and social service space. Approximately 15 parking spaces and 2.8 acres of open space, of which approximately 2.16 acres would be publicly accessible. All of the permanent housing units would be restricted at or below 80% of the area median income. In addition to the benefits of the new affordable housing, these project components collectively further the goals of Vital Brooklyn through introducing new passive open space and low-impact active recreation opportunities, expanding food access for the neighborhood, and expanding early childhood and young adult programming, all while creating 3,700 construction jobs and approximately 389 permanent roles. In July 2021, ESD selected a conditionally designated development team for the project through a competitive request for proposals, or RFP. That development team consists of Breaking Ground, Douglaston Development, Almond Urban, the Velez Organization, and Job Development Corp. The project site is anticipated to be purchased and developed over time in up to 3 phases in accordance with the GPP. Construction is also expected to occur in 3 phases, with the first phase beginning next year and the third phase anticipated to be completed and fully occupied in 2031. In order to effectuate the project, ESD will override local zoning to allow for the development of more affordable housing than would be permissible under current zoning, and to allow other components that are consistent with the project's goals. ESD is creating design guidelines for the project to be applied in lieu of zoning. The New York City Department of City Planning has been reviewing and providing comments to ESD during ESD's drafting of the design guidelines document. ESD has also kept a running tally of City Planning's comments and has provided DCP with a tracker showing how their design guidelines feedback has been incorporated so far. On environmental review, a DEIS was prepared by consultants STV Incorporated, which has been reviewed by ESD staff and outside environmental counsel. STV also prepared a conditions report that documents current substandard conditions on the project site. This report is needed to support blight findings that ESD must make under the Urban Development Corporation Act for land use improvement projects such as this one. The DEIS draft design guidelines and conditions report were provided to the directors in advance of this meeting. Since a draft of the DEIS was circulated to the directors for advance review, STV has made some minor non-substantive edits and corrections that are incorporated into the final version of the DEIS that we will post on ESD's Kingsborough project website for public review after this meeting. A public hearing to receive comments on the DEIS and the GPP will be scheduled. The hearing date, I think, is actually confirmed for the 30th of November. After the completion of the DEIS and GPP review processes, a final EIS would be prepared, and the directors will be asked to make secret findings and to affirm the GPP with any modifications to the current version that may be recommended by ESD staff. After that, ESD would acquire fee title for the project site from DASNY and reconvey it to the developer. It is anticipated that there will be an initial closing for the first phase and 1 or more closings for the second and third phases. 2 final notes. The City of New York has a reversionary interest in the project site that would be triggered by use of the site for purposes other than state hospital purposes. The project we're proposing today would trigger this reverter, but the city has agreed to extinguish the reversionary interest in consideration of the project's replacement of the 2 existing shelter facilities on the project site. Also, in accordance with special legislation passed in 2022, the purchase price for the Kingsborough site will be negotiated by the commissioners of HCR and OMH and could potentially be conveyed to a developer, and the property could be potentially conveyed to a developer for below fair market value in consideration of the affordable housing and other community benefits the proposed project will provide. Sale proceeds may be used to retire a small amount of outstanding bond debt, and the remaining proceeds would be deposited into the Mental Health Reinvestment Fund. So I'm done with the presentation, but I'd be remiss to speak this long without acknowledging the hundreds of hours that have been put in by other members of the team, Tony Szymanczyk, Aram Qadri, Dilma Palma, Angel Santana, Beth Carliner have their fingerprints on all 1,000 units of housing and then some, and I owe them a big thanks.
Great. Well, first of all, great job, Douglas. Very thorough, as was the 4-inch thick DEIS. So, couple of questions for you, and I don't know if fair for you or Arden, because I'm more on the legal side. Are you an attorney as well?
No.
No.
Tony's here.
Who's here?
Tony.
Our attorney.
Project.
Very. So, I just want to make sure we get it right. So, DASNY owns the hospital grounds now.
Yeah.
OMH operates the facility. They're going to convey title to ESD. and we're going to hold title until it's reconveyed to a developer.
Yeah.
Is that developer already selected
Yes.
by the other entities or by ESD?
But ESD via an RFP process.
It was an RFP process, right. And then you said multiple phases, and which means multiple closings. So if, say, after the first phase, ESD will just convey a portion of the property for that first phase, and will ESD then continue to hold title until it reconveys the properties for phases 2 and 3? Is that how it's structured to work?
So the one thing that's certain right now is that an entity controlled by the development team will not take title to the entire site at the first phase.
Right.
There are a couple different reasons why that probably shouldn't happen, including this sort of concept of choice limiting actions related to some subsidy sources that the development team may seek to use in the later phases. If they acquire the property too early, they may not be able to use those subsidies.
But we would then retain that portion of the title that wasn't conveyed in that first phase.
Well, there's two different potential structures. One, ESD would acquire and reconvey property in 2 or 3 chunks as the phases of housing close. That's option 1. And then option 2 would be ESD may acquire fee title to the entire property, convey the first phase to the development team immediately, and may hold the balance of it for a period of time. We're still having conversations with DASNY about which structure would be the most workable. And then there's considerations for us as well if we were to hold title to the property for a period of time. But that's still being worked out.
Got it. And I presume the developer will have insurance and indemnify ESD for any issues. We're sort of helping to facilitate this project. We are not the developer.
Yeah.
But by holding its title, so to the extent anything happens, and things always happen on construction sites, ESD will be covered.
Yes. The developer would be required to hold, a liability policy in connection with any construction activities. They would also need to be, they would also have to secure environmental indemnification and insurance vis-a-vis ESD, so that the state would not be liable for any environmental issues associated with the property and any work the development team will do.
And when you mentioned that the city has agreed to waive the reversionary interest that they had if it stopped being used as a psych hospital, that, to me, that implies that we have worked with the city and the community, and the city is on board with this. The borough president, who we were talking about before, is behind this project as well, as is the local community.
We haven't had conversations with the borough president about this particular project. Our conversations with the city have mostly been with the Department of Homeless Services, who is sponsoring who operates the existing shelters and are sponsoring the new shelters as part of the site. And what they have asked from us in return for extinguishing the reverter is, 1, to include shelters as part of our new program, 2, to include those shelters as part of the first phase, and 3, to allow for the continuing operations of the existing shelters until the new shelters are placed in service. Right. So that is the agreement that we have in place with the.
So there'll be a 1-to-1 sort of match of any prior shelter bed or unit will be replaced by a new one.
They'll be replaced by new ones, but they'll be like for like in terms of the number of beds, but the new facilities are substantially superior to the existing ones. The existing shelter buildings were built during the New Deal for the purpose of housing staff at the mental hospital. They're not well designed for the purpose of sheltering single adult men on a temporary basis, and we've tried our best to retain the best providers that we could find for operating single adult men's shelter to design and carry out construction of the new facilities.
Great. No, to me it sounds like another good role for ESD, just like what the governor and the mayor announced a couple months ago in Gowanus, where ESD will be playing a role to help facilitate the construction of a more market rate project. This and ESD will now play a role where there'll be this project that'll be 100% affordable. Yeah. So it's neat to see us getting involved to address one of the bigger challenges facing us, not just in the city, but throughout the state. So thanks for that again. Very thorough report and great answers. Any board members have any other questions for Doug? All right. So hearing none, I will move it. Rob seconds it. All in favor? Aye. There are no questions from the public. And again, once you guys conduct your additional public meetings and there's a final environmental impact statement, you'll come back before the board and we'll have to approve the FEIS.
Yeah, we'll likely be back to the board 2 times before the end of this entitlement process. One to approve the FEIS, and then a second time in the kind of days or weeks following to adopt SECRA and UDC Act findings and affirm the general project plan and any modifications that might be necessary.
Well, we look forward to having you back to present those additional reports to us.
Thank you.
Okay, so that adoption of the findings statement has been approved. Let's see. Down to our last item on the agenda, which is the administrative actions presented in summary format. And I believe we have Doug Janice on the phone. Yes, and he has a bunch of items.
Yes. Good morning, directors. As a reminder, in order to help streamline our board meetings, we previously implemented an oral summary presentation process in connection with the administrative action section of the agenda. So you receive a full set of written descriptive materials for each of these items in your board materials, as you have for this meeting. But rather than having individual oral presentations made on each, I will provide a brief summary of the items. At the conclusion of the summary, we can entertain any questions or comments the directors may have. So the 8 items submitted for your consideration today, and for which you have received written materials, are summarized as follows. Item 6A is relative to authorization to make statutory payments pursuant to the Electric Generation Facility Cessation Mitigation Program. And today the board is being asked to approve 2 payments pursuant to this program. These payments will offset reductions in property tax revenue to 2 local government entities due to the closure of electric generating facilities in their respective jurisdictions. The first payment is to Tompkins County in the amount of $79,942.93 due to the closure of the Cayuga Electric Generating Facility in November of 2019. And the second payment is to the Village of Buchanan in the amount of $998,830.80 due to the closure of the Indian Point Energy Center in April of 2021. Approval of these 2 payments will bring total disbursements from the fund to approximately $75 million of the $140 million authorized for this program. Our next item, 6B, is relative to the approval of a land bank application. The directors are being asked to approve a land bank application submitted by Columbia County. A land bank is a not-for-profit corporation created by local governments to assist with the problem of vacant, abandoned, and tax-delinquent properties. Per the law creating the land bank program, ESD approval is required before the land bank can be formed. Staff has reviewed the application submitted by Columbia County and believe that a strong case has been made that the land bank will be successful in that community. Item 6C is relative to authorization to enter into a contract for marketing services, including advertising, digital marketing, experiential marketing, public relations, media planning, and buying services. Directors are being asked to authorize the corporation to enter into a marketing services contract with Wool and Partners Worldwide, Inc., doing business as Campbell Ewald, New York. This contract will have a 2-year term with the option to extend for 2 additional 1-year terms at ESD's discretion. The contract amount for the first 2 years is not to exceed $100 million or $50 million average per year, which is consistent with the spending levels of previous marketing service contracts. Campbell Ewald is ESD's current marketing services provider and was selected to continue in this role as a result of a comprehensive, competitive RFQ-RFP process. scope of this contract covers all aspects of marketing strategy, development, and execution, including paid media and third-party production and pass-through costs. Item 6D is relative to authorization to enter into a contract amendment with HR&A Advisors, Inc. for consultant services. The Office of Strategic Workforce Development is requesting authorization to enter into a contract amendment with HR&A Advisors for ongoing consultant services. During its original 10-month contract, HR&A supported the office in developing a strategy for funding workforce development projects that supports the labor needs of the state's high-growth industries and ensures historically marginalized workers have access to quality training and employment. The extension of the contract will allow the consultant to provide updated information based on the evolution of industry, occupation, and skills for the present economy and support the office through full implementation. The extended contract term will not exceed an additional 24 months for an additional amount not to exceed $800,000. Item 6E is relative to authorization to extend a contract term with Mintz, Levin, Cohen, Ferris, Klubsky, and Papio PC for legal services in connection with labor and employment matters. Corporation is seeking authorization to extend its contract with Mintz Levin, which is currently retained to provide legal counsel in connection with labor and employment law matters on an as-needed basis for an additional 2 years, and to increase the amount of the contract for a total not to exceed amount of $250,000. Legal services provided pursuant to this extension may include, but are not limited to, providing counsel on personnel matters, pending litigation, the employee handbook and corporation policies, and employment-related documents such as correspondence and separation agreements. Item 6F is relative to authorization to amend a contract with Carasoft Technology Corporation to provide cloud platform services. Directors are being asked to approve an amendment to Carasoft's current contract in an amount of $203,219.57 for a total overall contract amount of $842,178.12. This vendor will continue to provide a cloud platform for building, delivering, and optimizing websites to enable faster Drupal development. The term of this contract will also be extended through November of 2024. Item 6G is relative to authorization to enter an agreement for enhancements and modifications for the Microsoft Dynamics system. Directors are being asked to approve a new contract with Avalam for a total contract amount not to exceed $900,000. The initial $500,000 contract will be for a 3-year term with 2 additional 1-year options to extend the agreement at a cost of $200,000 per year at ESD's discretion. Avalam will furnish maintenance and enhancement of the Microsoft Power Apps and Dynamics 360 in the areas of customization, configuration, reporting, cloud support, and technical support. And our final item, item 6H, is relative to authorization to enter into a contract for managed data services. Directors are being asked to approve a new contract with Markham Technology in the amount of $235,800 fee with a $14,200 contingency for a total expenditure of $250,000 for a 3-year term. Markham Technology will provide managed data services to Azure, VMware Solution, and Azure NetApp to support ESD operations across the state. I will now turn it back to our chair, who will call for any questions or comments you may have for any of these items before calling for a vote. We also have item-related staff on the line today to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. I only have one question, and it's on item C. It's a pretty large contract that you're asking us to approve. Can you or Rich here just walk us through that? There was a procurement process and verify that there was a procurement process and that we're satisfied with the company who has apparently done work for us, or a lot of work for us in the past. And is this contract for all the marketing that we do here, like including the I Love New York campaigns and things like that, or is it more specific?
I'll answer the second question first. Yes,
Sure.
it's for all the marketing efforts. So everything from everything under the I Love New York umbrella, also everything under our business development campaigns and marketing efforts, as well as support and promotion of individual programs. Over the past few years, there's been a lot more of promotion of those individual programs, especially coming out of COVID. In the past, there was occasionally promotion of individual programs, but for the most part, marketing was limited to either I Love New York or broad business development marketing. But there's been a number of efforts over the past few years on individual programs. So those are the three big buckets that anything marketing related to those areas are covered in this contract. Specifically, this is a contract with Campbell Ewald, but it also covers any subcontractors that they may hire on our behalf in terms of PR agencies, any production firms that help shoot commercials or printing costs, anything involved in production of any of these assets.
Do we reserve the right to approve the subs that they hire?
Yes. And they do triple bids. You know, we have the ability to veto or provide suggestions, but we we see specific reporting on what those costs are. We're involved in that process with them. So it's not completely handing over the keys to the car, if you will. We're involved in that process top to bottom, but they're the ones who will have those third-party contracts. So that $50 million per year, obviously some of it is fee to Campbell Ewald. A big piece of it is paid media costs. It covers their planning and strategic time on that paid media, but the bulk of those dollars are, just hard costs that go to the networks, streaming TV, digital media, things like that. Our thinking of other big items that fall under that. Our web services agency that helps keep I Love New York up online. A lot of our Welcome Center marketing management costs go through that. So to answer your question, yes, anything marketing related is part of this contract. Going to your initial question, yes, we went through a pretty comprehensive RFP process. Part of that, as part of the RFQ process, we received 20 respondents. There was a scoring committee that was put together. I was on that scoring committee. We had representatives from the legal department, from procurement, from tourism, and from finance. So it was a pretty well-rounded group that we had on that committee. Coming out of that, the scoring of the RFQs, we saw basically three groupings. There was a group at the bottom that were just clearly unqualified or irrelevant, just people who kind of filled out the form and went through the motions, it looked like. Then there was a big group in the middle that were all good, solid proposals, but for a number of reasons, most of which they didn't even have the depth of experience that we needed or the size or scale, but they were all legitimate, relevant agencies presenting. And then there were two finalists, Campbell Ewald and VMLYR. There was a big gap between the top two finalists in the RFQ and the rest of the group that kind of clustered in the middle. So we invited the two of them to come back for a final RFP process that consisted of an assignment and specific areas of interest in terms of how you approach our strategy moving forward. Clearly explain the experience of your team, more of your credentials on past similar clients. And there's a number of factors that went into that RFP process that resulted in them submitting written proposals, as well as coming in for a 2-3 hour session each to present and walk through the team Q&A session.
So it sounds like a very thorough process.
Yes. I've been through these before I came to ESD, I was on the advertising agency side. So I've been through a lot of these on the other side, so I understand what goes into it, things to look for. New business on agency side is very, they invest resources too. So a lot of agencies make specific decisions as to which pieces of new business they really go kind of.
Good. Really what I wanted on the record and memorialized in the minutes is that, hey, this is a very large contract, but it's not something we would sole source. It was a very robust, competitive RFQ process, and staff handled it well. And this is your recommendation to us, and so that's fine. That's all I needed. Do any board members have any other questions on any of these 7 items? Hearing none, I will move it. Rob seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Rich. Just going back, it brought to my attention on the Kingsborough thing. I moved it, Rob seconded it, and I said it was approved, but I didn't ask for a vote. So going on the approving the adoption of the secret findings for the Kingsborough item. So again, I moved it, Rob had seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. That adoption, that motion also approved, and the adoption of the findings was approved. So that concludes our agenda. Is there any other any board member would like to bring up at this time? Hearing none, we will adjourn the meeting. And our next meeting, do we have a meeting in November?
Yes, November 16th.
We do. Okay, so we will see you on November 16th here in New York City. Thank you all. Thank you to staff for a good job.
Thanks, everybody.